Hey there everyone, it's Brendan here and welcome back to the Crypto Analyst channel. And today's episode is going to be a very special, a very important one because the halving is literally just a few hours away. Now, whether this is your first Bitcoin halving or maybe even your fourth Bitcoin halving, we're going to be breaking down everything that you need to know in today's video, what's happened during previous halvings, what's happened after most halving cycles, and also what the halving is itself. So if you're not familiar with any of this or really what's happening in the world of cryptocurrency right now, don't worry. I'm going to make sure that I keep all of you updated because we have a lot going on in not only Bitcoin's market, but in the general altcoin market as well. So let's go ahead and dive on in by taking a look at Bitcoin's chart first, because we've seen a lot of volatility kind of going into this big event that only happens once every 4 years. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, ever since Bitcoin kind of broke up above $60,000 over here, it's been relatively range bound in between $60,000 on the low end and around $70,000 on the high end up here. So we can see that ever since the initial break of 60K, we've been going from support to resistance to support to resistance, down towards support levels, back up to resistance, and just kind of chopping around sideways inside of this zone very, very consistently. Now, what this means is that this is about a $10,000 range on Bitcoin right now, where it is bouncing between both the support and resistance levels, with again 60K being the floor and 70K being the kind of the ceiling, so to say. Now, what we've seen here in recent days is that with Bitcoin kind of breaking the 20 and 50-day moving averages, it's seen about a week of consolidation down here around this support. And so far, it's held. And every time that we've kind of tapped this level, there's been a huge amount of buyers to come in and buy this thing up. Now, some of the main catalysts that actually brought Bitcoin down to this level was largely due to a lot of geopolitical uncertainty that's happening over in the Middle East. I'm sure a lot of people have seen the news, but that's like really, again, one of the big catalysts that's kind of brought Bitcoin down here. We had it happen last Friday and Saturday, which is what caused the move from $71,000 all the way down to $59,000. And we saw it again last night with some more news coming out, basically leading Bitcoin to go from its open price of 64,000 all the way back down into the $59,000 zone right over here. Now we can see that this kind of information, I don't want to call it FUD because I think it's a really serious issue, but this kind of stuff that is scaring people out of crypto is becoming less impactful. And I think people are realizing that in this kind of uncertainty, crypto actually reigns supreme here, which is why it's seeing this kind of recovery after having, kind of geopolitical uncertainty sort of news come out over here. So now, if we zoom out to kind of some of the larger charts, we can see that if Bitcoin actually holds this support level, then this thing has the potential to go back to 70K. And if it breaks that upper resistance of like the low $70,000 zone up here, then Bitcoin certainly has the potential to break out into not only like the mid to high 70,000s, but also even higher than that, rivaling the $80,000 zone. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening on Bitcoin's chart. We saw Bitcoin dominance actually shoot up to multi-year highs. This is actually the highest point that we've seen Bitcoin dominance go in the last 3 years. Now, if you're not familiar with this, Bitcoin dominance always, and I mean always, rises going into a traditional market cycle. Bitcoin is the front runner. It leads the crypto markets first. It sees the gains, dominant grows. And then as the market cycle matures and kind of continues on, then Bitcoin dominance starts to fall, which gives us the traditional altcoin season that a lot of us are used to. So if we go and we look at what's happened in some of these previous market cycles, well, we get a pretty good indication that, and I'm going to go ahead and rewind us just a little bit, like this one, for example, showing that there is a 3-step process to this kind of halving methodology. Or to this halving blueprint, so to say. We always have the bottom beforehand, a nice little bull market leading into the halving event. We have the halving event itself, which is usually followed by some downwards and choppy price action. And then following the halving event, we have this huge parabolic run up over here that is, largely positive, as seen by the gains of Bitcoin going from $9,000 to $70,000. Well, if we go back to the previous halving before that, we see a very similar thing over here where, again, we see a bottom out beforehand, a nice little bull rally leading into the halving. The halving, we get some negative, choppy price action. And then in the year following the halving, there is this huge bull market that ensues. Again, we see this for the very first halving as well. If we go 3 halvings back, the same blueprint continues to stand true here. We had the bottom beforehand, nice little bull rally leading into the halving, choppy sideways period around the time of the halving, and then this huge parabolic, long-term run in the year following the halving event itself. And so I hope that this adds some clarity for the people who are saying, I've never been through a halving before. What is it like? Well, we can actually look at the 3 previous halving cycles and get an understanding of what they have been like for Bitcoin. And so if we go to look at what's happening in the current day, well, sure enough, we have a bottom before the halving event. We have a nice little bull rally going into the time of the halving. And now that we're at the time of the halving, which is, again, literally happening in just a few hours here, I have a nice little countdown on my screen, but we can see that the halving is estimated to happen in roughly 8 hours from now. Now, it's currently 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, which means that, it's happening tonight. It's really not that far away. So in just a few hours, we're going to be dealing with that. And so now we're kind of going through that choppy sideways price action zone. And with this, I think a lot of people are excited about what could be coming Bitcoin's way. Now, there's a lot of articles like this that are going around saying, hey, the Bitcoin halving could set up cryptocurrency for long-term gains. And I think they're right. And I think that they have the idea here because, the information that I went through, it's public knowledge. It's not rocket science. It's people just looking at what's happened during all the previous halvings and say, hey, this thing has a really, really accurate blueprint of how it likes to behave on these 4-year cycles. And so people are kind of deducing what is likely to happen as a result of that. Now, the main question that a lot of people have here is, can this affect more than just Bitcoin? And the answer here is yes. Kind of going back to that idea of dominance, Bitcoin dominance that we were talking about earlier, Bitcoin dominance has been on the rise for a while now. We see this chart going up and up and up, and I plotted out a lot of the points over here, but it has been just continuing to climb and climb and climb, which is, again, totally normal kind of going into a halving. It always does this. And so when we look at how altcoins are performing and how they're bouncing, they're seeing very similar things, like Solana's fallen to a key support level. Maker's kind of doing the same thing over here. We've seen great work from other cryptocurrencies like Ondo, for example. And a lot of these ones, a lot of cryptos are holding value. And so there are, different tiers here, right? We have certain cryptos that are kind of underperforming the market. We have other cryptos that are doing okay, but not the best. And then we have other altcoins which are consolidating towards the highs, like Pendle, for example, which is not that far away and tapped its all-time high just about a week ago. So there's a lot happening in the world of cryptocurrency over here. And again, the halving is typically a positive event for not just Bitcoin, but pretty much everything because it leads the way. So that's going to go ahead and round us off for today's video, everyone. But before we go, a special little announcement is that we're actually having a special halving live stream in just a few hours on the Crypto 101 podcast YouTube channel. Now, if you're not subscribed there, I'm one of the hosts over there, so you can go ahead and check me out. I'm going to be on the analyst panel for today's live stream or live session that we're having in literally just a few hours. So if you see this video, then you can go ahead and join us live and maybe watch this afterwards. You can always go watch the replay because, it's going to be on YouTube and free for everyone to see. So that's going to go ahead and round us out. I hope all of you did enjoy this. If you did, consider hitting that like and subscribe button, maybe checking out some of the links in the description down below because we have a lot more content coming at you and a couple great communities that you can be a part of. So until the live stream in just a few hours, I will see all of you very, very soon.